welcome to the deep dive. So you flagged something really interesting for us, this Amazon Kindle listing for Story of My Life. It's the Story Lake Book 1 by Lucy Score.
That's the one.
So yeah, we're going to do what we usually do, right? Take a proper look at what makes this book tick based on that listing.
Exactly. Because, instead of just scrolling endlessly on Amazon, the idea was, let's get a focused breakdown.
Right.
Our goal here is really just pulling out the key stuff, the story itself, what people are actually saying about it, and those little details that give you a real feel for the book.
Makes sense. And our source material here is just, well, it's that Amazon product page, basically.
Straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Yeah, like a concentrated dose of everything, the official blurb, the reader reviews, which are always crucial, that little editorial review bit, and even some info on Lucy Score herself.
And for you, the learner, listening in, this should give you a really solid grasp of the premise, how it's landed with readers and what bits might appeal if you're into, say, small-town romance, maybe some humor, character-driven stuff.
And all without having to wade through the whole Amazon page yourself.
Precisely. Saves you the clicks.
Okay, let's get into it then. The book description. Wow, it throws out a pretty intriguing comparison right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It says, A Gilmore Girls meets Schitt's Creek Redemption rom-com.
Okay, interesting. That definitely paints a specific kind of picture, doesn't it?
Totally. Like small town vibes, probably quirky, maybe some humor, and someone finding their way.
Yeah, and the main character, Hazel Hart, she sounds like someone you can get behind. A successful romance writer, but she's hit a wall, writer's block.
After a breakup, right?
Yeah.
Classic setup for some, personal growth.
Exactly. And the thing that kicks it all off, she spontaneously buys this old historic house in Story Lake, Pennsylvania. Oh, and it's apparently infested with raccoons.
Raccoons. Okay, so definitely not your typical peaceful writer's retreat then.
Probably not. And it seems like Story Lake itself, the town, isn't quite what she bargained for either.
Right, and this fixer-upper house comes with, like, an extra surprise. A seat on the town council. For an introvert.
Yeah. So she's immediately sort of plunged into what the description calls small-town shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Love that word. But it sounds like there's more going on, too.
Well, yeah, it's fascinating how they layer the challenges. Hazel's not just dealing with her own stuff and, a crumbling house. She's also stepping into this community that's struggling economically. Apparently, a major employer shut down.
Ah, okay. So her story gets tangled up with the town story.
Exactly. Creates real potential for her personal journey to connect with something bigger.
And, of course, it is a rom-com, so
Yeah.
the romance.
Right. Enter Campbell Bishop. He's described as pretty tall and grumpy contractor.
Grumpy contractor trope.
A classic. But apparently, he somehow sparks her creativity again. So naturally, she hires him and his brothers to fix up her, what does she call it? Her spider museum.
Spider museum. Okay, that definitely gives you a taste of the humor.
It does. And the romance angle. It seems to take that familiar path. She proposes fake dating.
Oh, the fake dating trope.
Yep. All for research, supposedly, for her novel.
Right, quote-unquote research. So life imitating art, art imitating life,
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Pretty much. And this is where, it gets complicated. The description hints that Hazel starts to really care about the town and obviously about Cam.
But there are obstacles.
Like big ones. The town might go bankrupt, which is looming over everything, and Cam himself. Well, it says he has reasons to be wary of a happy ending.
Okay. So it's not all just quaint town, easy romance. There's real tension there.
Definitely seems like it. So if we zoom out a bit, based on that description, what are the main hooks, the themes?
Well, small town charm is definitely front and center, even if they qualify it as initially slightly exaggerated. Suggests it's not too perfect, maybe.
Right. A bit of realism mixed in with the idyllic and those small town shenanigans you mentioned.
Yeah, that promises like a cast of colorful side characters, unexpected stuff happening, probably where a lot of the comedy comes from.
And the dynamic between Hazel, the city girl outsider, and Cam, the grumpy local, that's pure opposites attract.
It is. Do you think the appeal there is just hitting those familiar beats well? Or does it sound like there might be a fresher take?
That's a good question. I mean, the tropes are familiar, sure, but the description hinting at Cam's reasons for being wary, that suggests maybe some deeper character stuff.
Could be. More than just a stereotype.
Yeah, the success might really hinge on how they add those layers, those nuances to the grumpy guy thing.
And the fake dating scenario, another classic rom-com device.
Absolutely. And you know how that usually goes, right? Often leads to real feelings despite the initial plan.
It's a good setup for misunderstandings, but also for that slow burn attraction to build.
Exactly. And then there's the whole saving the town angle. That adds another layer, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives Hazel a purpose beyond just her own life and romance, raises the stakes for everyone.
Precisely. It ties her personal journey into the fate of Story Lake. Makes for a richer story, I think.
Okay, so what about critics? There's an editorial review mentioned?
Yeah, a quote from Megan Quinn. She's a USA Today bestselling author.
Right. What does she say?
She calls it giggle-inducing, insanely hot, and oh so sweet, and then adds, everything you want and more in a Lucy Score story.
Wow, okay. That's a pretty glowing endorsement, especially coming from another big name in the genre.
It really is. That kind of quote can definitely sway readers who already like Megan Quinn or are just looking for exactly that mix, the funny, the steamy, the sweet.
Good point. Now, let's switch gears slightly. The author, Lucy Score.
Right. The bio paints a picture of major success. #1 New York Times, USA Today, Wall Street Journal bestseller.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That tells you she definitely knows how to connect with readers.
For sure. That track record builds a certain level of, expectation, trust maybe.
And the bio mentions she has a journalism degree
Yeah.
and writes from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, which, thinking about the Story Lake setting, maybe that adds a touch of authenticity, writing about a place she knows.
Could be. And her focus?
Yeah.
It says she likes crafting heartbreaker heroes and kick-ass heroines.
Which sounds like it fits perfectly with this Hazel and Cam setup, right?
Seems to line up, yeah. Okay, now, the moment of truth. The customer reviews. What are actual readers saying?
Well, the overall numbers are pretty impressive. 4.5 out of 5 stars.
And how many ratings?
Over 18,000.
Wow, okay. That's a lot of feedback. Suggests a really broad positive reaction.
It does. And when you dig into what people are saying over and over, some clear themes pop up.
Like what?
Lots of mentions of heartwarming small-town romance, obviously. Hilarious banter comes up frequently, too.
Banter's key in rom-coms?
Totally. And the characters, especially Hazel and Cam, but also Cam's family, the bishops, they get tons of praise for being well-developed.
Oh, interesting that the family gets called out specifically. That suggests strong supporting characters.
Yeah, that focus on family relationships, particularly the Bishop family, seems like a really big draw. People also love the mix described as a perfect blend of spice and heartwarming moments.
So it hits both the romance beats and the emotional ones effectively.
Seems like it, yeah. The writing style and dialogue get shout-outs too, called engaging. And the town, Story Lake itself.
What about the town?
Reviewers mention its charm. It sounds like the setting really works, almost like another character in the book.
That's always a good sign. And the main couple's chemistry.
Huge highlight, apparently. People use terms like absolute fire, so that central connection seems really strong.
Okay, absolute fire. Got it. What about the overall feel? Is it heavy, light?
Descriptions like fun, lighthearted, easy, and enjoyable come up a lot, so it sounds very readable.
But not just fluff.
Apparently not. Reviewers also talk about the humor and comedic relief alongside emotional depth. And Hazel seems quite relatable to many readers.
And that sense of community you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that really seems to resonate. People connect with the town's vibe.
Any other specific things reviewers loved?
Well, yeah, some really lovely comments. One called it a love letter to readers.
Wow, that's high praise.
Isn't it? And Hazel being a strong, independent heroine gets mention, which fits the author's stated aims.
And the grumpy sunshine thing with Cam and Hazel.
Specifically highlighted, yeah. Confirms that trope really landed well here. Also, good words for the supporting cast, the Bishop family again, and Hazel's best friend and agent, Zoe.
So well-rounded characters beyond the leads.
Seems so. And the town, people say it feels like a real place they'd want to visit. That speaks volumes about the world building.
Definitely. Any other quirky details mentioned?
Oh, yeah. The animals get some love. There's apparently a bald eagle named Goose.
Forsaken eagle.
And Bertha, the house raccoon we heard about earlier. Those touches seem to add unique flavor.
Sounds memorable.
Reviewers also note the mix, how it can be poignant, but also, LOL, hilarious. And interestingly, there's appreciation for empathetic and realistic inclusion of diversity and disability.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Mm.
Shows some thoughtfulness in the writing.
Yeah, and the final proof. Lots of people saying they desperately want more books in the Story Lake series.
Always a good sign when readers don't want to leave the world.
Exactly. They are invested.
Okay, let's quickly touch on the product details. Kindle Edition, obviously. Page count.
Pretty hefty 530 pages, so you get a decent chunk of story.
And published recently. March 2025.
That's right. And it's already hitting bestseller charts on Amazon number 13 this week.
Not bad at all. And the actual category ranks.
Super impressive. Number 3 overall in the Kindle store. Number 1 in contemporary romance fiction. Number 2 in literature and fiction on Kindle. And number 2 in contemporary romance for physical books, too.
Wow, so it's really flying high across the board.
Absolutely. And that review breakdown, a whopping 65% are 5-star reviews.
55%. That's really high. Speaks volumes about reader satisfaction.
It really does. Plus, it's available as an audiobook, too, with audible narration. So options for how to experience it.
Good to know. And finally, the page probably suggests other Lucy Score books or similar authors.
Yeah, the usual customers who bought this also bought stuff, which is handy for you, the learner, if this one sounds good and you want more like it.
Right. Gives you somewhere to go next.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this all up for the learner. Our deep dive into this Amazon listing for Story of My Life, well, it paints a picture of a book that's clearly hitting the mark for fans of small-town rom-coms.
Yeah, the praise is pretty consistent, isn't it?
Mm.
For the characters being well-developed, the humor, that heartwarming storyline, it's hard to ignore.
The reviews and ratings just keep pointing back to, engaging writing, real chemistry between Hazel and Cam, and the super charming setting in Story Lake.
So, bottom line, if you like that grumpy meat sunshine vibe, if you enjoy fake dating turning real, and if you appreciate stories about community and found family.
Then yeah, this one seems like a really, really strong contender. Looks like it delivers on those promises.
Definitely. Now for that final thought, something to chew on.
Okay. Well, thinking about that strong theme of community and how Hazel, the outsider, becomes so central to potentially saving the town, it really makes you think, doesn't it, about how individual actions, maybe unexpected connections, can ripple outwards and shape the future of a whole place.
Yeah, like the butterfly effect almost.
Exactly. So the question for you, the learner, is maybe what seemingly small things, what interactions or connections might be happening in your own community right now? Things that could be quietly shaping its story in ways you haven't even realized yet.